intellectually. Just like tangible assets, they have the potential to generate income for you as a creator or as a owner. Most of the world famous companies when it comes to technology, when it comes to product or services, they derive most of their profit from intellectual property. I'm talking about companies like Google, like Microsoft, like Apple. They derive a lot of profit yearly from the protection of their intellectual work. But we know that sometimes in trying to get a protection for your intellectual work can be a bit challenging, especially in this part of the world. And so whether you're a new entrepreneur or a new innovator, it is very important that you protect your intellectual work, because just like a tangible asset, they could be stolen from you. You could be robbed of it. And one day you just wake up, something that is supposed to bring you money is bringing someone else's money. A lot of people have fallen victims of not being able to protect their intellectual property. I mean, if you can protect your physical property, tangible properties like land, like cars, like buildings, you know, if you could protect them, why wouldn't you protect your intellectual property, especially in this day and time where technology is the order of the day? But we know it could be a lot, and that's why we brought this program your way today. Intellectual property, protecting your intellectual property as an innovator, a creator, or a new entrepreneur. You could even be an existing entrepreneur, but you have no idea what intellectual property is. Well, we're going to break this down for you today, and we're doing this alongside our guest on the program, Barrister Habibat Abubakar. Thank you for joining us today. Hello.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here. Can everybody hear me loud and clear?
Loud and clear, we can hear you.
Thank you.
All right, I want us to dive very quick into understanding what intellectual property is. Well, from all indication, it means, if you want to break it down for layman understanding, it's just what you protecting your mind innovations, you know, something that comes from your head. But we also know that sometimes this definition could differ. What we see as a definition of thing can be different from what the law says it is. From the legal perspective, from the Nigerian law, what does the law refer to as an intellectual property?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. And you actually gave a very brilliant preamble. I was like, you've actually said everything when you were speaking. But intellectual property, there is no exact definition according to our laws. What we have laws that cover the different parts of IP. We have laws for copyright, we have laws for patent, we have laws for trademark, industrial design. But intellectual property, putting it plainly, like you said, is protecting the creations of your mind. So we have different things. People buy property, they buy assets, they buy shares, they buy land, they buy gold. And you'd see how they want to protect it. They put it in a bank, they put the documents in safekeeping because they know how valuable it is. But they do not avert their minds to the value of the creation of the mind. Because most of the things you see, the tangible things you see, were created from intangibles. People thought about these ideas. People thought about, how do I ensure that I can put notes together and form music? How do I think about these lyrics? They sat down and inspiration came, and then they wrote down the lyrics of songs. And that is coming from their minds. They are putting it down. Some people are drawing, they are painting, art, and all of these things. They got inspiration from wherever, and then they put pen to paper. So what the law across all different IP frameworks and different IP assets, one of the features that is across board is you must ensure that this is a unique creation. It is something that you came up with, right? It's a unique creation. It's something you have put in sufficient effort to create. So it's not enough for you to just think about it. You must have put pen to paper. You must have written it somewhere. There should be evidence that you are the one who created that thing, that creation. You masterminded it, right? So you cannot say, oh, I thought about this business idea last week, and tomorrow I'm seeing somebody else doing it, like it's my idea.
Yeah.
No. it's not enough that you thought about this. There has to be effort expended in ensuring that you put it down. There has to be that evidence, right? So these are the things that you should attach your minds to when you think about intellectual property creation, protecting the creator, protecting the creation of the mind. And it's basically preventing, because all of these creations, if I create something, I want the rights to this thing. I want to be able to exploit what I have created. If I write a code, for instance, and the code will be developed into maybe an app that can do specific things, I want to be able to benefit from these things that I have created. So how do I ensure nobody else has that right to exploit what I have created? That's where the whole laws and the legal aspect comes into mind, right? Because you want to ensure that as the owner of that creation, as the author, we call it author and copyright of that creation, you have the full ability to exploit it, whether commercially, use it without any restriction. So these are the things that you should bear in mind when you think about intellectual property.
All right, thank you for giving us that basis for the conversation today. I mean, there's this popular saying that goes by, they say when an idea strikes you at a time, it strikes about 100 or 1,000 of persons as well at the same time it did. What makes the difference most times is the actions these people take immediately these ideas come, and that's why you can have one idea today, tomorrow someone else is pushing up with the same thing, and there's nothing you can do. Well, you see, we live in a time of technology where people just want to be the first to break certain information, they want to be known about certain things, and sometimes, especially when it's not paying immediately, people don't see the need, they just want to do something to get visibility there, until when people start seeing the need to do the same thing, and probably from time they know that this thing will generate money for them, and then it becomes an issue. So for someone who had probably started something, maybe an innovation, a style, a work of art that didn't pay attention to it from the beginning, maybe because it wasn't paying as much as they wanted, and then they just neglected it. But later on, the thing just, because we live in a modern time where anything can just go viral in a day, and then they want to claim ownership about something they've not done anything about. What can what can people do to avoid such situation, especially when such designs or style have the potential of making money for people in the future? There was a time we had this particular saga. This lady made this dress. I think it was for one AMVCA award night, and she was dressed glamorously for this, and everybody was talking about that dress. But somebody the next day had to come out, to make some publications that idea was mine, you stole it, and you made it for the client. But I'm sure that person did not also understand that I needed to protect this work before putting it out there. So let's talk about that part.
It's very, very important. I like that you brought it up, because we see a lot of cases. I remember when I saw that case online, and the whole workers in cost. Because a lot of people do not understand their rights. A lot of people do not understand what is accruing to them, what they own, and what they should be fighting for. I think the first thing I would say is it's never too late to start. You can start, and then two things actually. First thing, it's never too late to start, and number two, nobody really knows what idea we do. Right, we blew in quotes. Right? So one of the precautions everybody should have is ensure that from the get-go you understand and you are aware of your rights. There are lots of materials online. You can engage a lawyer just to be educated. Right? Be aware of what you own. And for the different kinds of IP that are resident here in Nigeria, the different kinds of protections that you should be aware of. For copyright, for instance, at the moment you create, as long as you have evidence that you created that or you made, copyright basically is you protecting your artistic works, musical works, sound recording, broadcast, and literary works, right? So as long as you have evidence that this was created by you, it could be you writing it down, you recording a sound, or you having the notes to music or you creating an art, right? All of these things, as long as you have evidence that you created it and there was a lot of originality or there was sufficient originality put into that creation, you are regarded as the author of the work. And you don't need any other registration. You don't need anything. Copyright protection is automatic. As immediately you protect it in Nigeria, immediately you create it, you are protected. It's automatic. The protection is automatic. Right? So for people, it's like with music.
Can you take that again? The copyright, it's automatic the moment you make an innovation?
The moment you create anything that is categorized as a work under copyright. Examples are art, music, sound recording, broadcast, audiovisual works, cinema. Okay, it used to be cinematography film, but now it's now audiovisual works. That is videos, right?
Yeah.
So the moment you create it, and there's evidence that when I mean evidence, you put it into a fixed medium. That is something people can see. It's not just in your head.
Yeah.
Something people can see. You automatically have copyright protection, right? You don't need to do anything else. All you need to do is provide that evidence that I was the first to do this, right? You automatically have that copyright protection. For other things like trademarks deals with distinguishing, you can just when the logos come in, that's where the basically what trademark seeks to protect is any distinguishing factor. You see Apple, you see the drawing, that's a trademark.
Yeah.
You see
Nike.
certain kinds of, there's a calligraphy, maybe you wrote your name in a very unique font or something, and everybody associates it with your brand. Trademark is anything associable with your brand. So people see this and immediately know, oh, this is Apple, oh, this is Microsoft, oh, this is the brand immediately comes to mind. We all know what Nike is, we know what Adidas brand is. We just see certain logos and certain symbols and like, oh, this is this brand, right? So trademark protection is different from copyright. It has to be registered, and it has to be registered and then renewed for subsequent times, right? First time it has to be registered. When you register it, you have trademark, you are protected for about 7 years, and then subsequently for 14 years. So there are timelines for this, and if you have a good lawyer or a good legal counsel, they'll keep track of all these times you need to register so that nothing happens to your trademark, because the moment you do not renew a registration, it is gone, right? Somebody else can make use of it and you do not have the right to oppose it, right? Same thing for industrial design. There are periodic times, there are times when you register your industrial design. Industrial design, of course, is artistic design, all of these things. Industrial design is where that clothes, the dress you mentioned, will likely fall under, right? So then we have patent. Patent deals with any innovative work or innovative processes. It could be something like Uber, for instance. I want to create an app that makes sure people get from one destination to another, and they get to interact on that app. But that app is innovative, is inventive. It wasn't there before. That is an inventive process. So for a period of time, I think it's about 7 years, for a period of time, either 7 or 20 years, I think it's 20 years for patents. For a period of time, they get to have monopoly over that invention. So nobody else can do something like Uber until they take permission from Uber, right? Because that invention came from Uber. So unlike copyright, every other work has to be registered, and the registration process, you just need to talk to a legal counsel for that. So at any moment you create anything, it will fall under any of these categories I've mentioned. You should ensure that if you've not already protected your work, you should seek to protect it immediately, right? So there are other things you should also bear in mind. There are certain exceptions. There are exceptions for uses. For instance, if somebody is not commercializing your work, that means they're not selling it, they're not making any money from it, they're just using it, maybe just, an example can be, I'm using 5 seconds of your song. People do it on Instagram. They'll just take somebody else's song and add it to a picture or add it to a video. They're not making any money out of it, they're not advertising anything. Those kinds of uses fall under fair use, they are permitted, right? So there are certain exceptions that are permitted. One major distinguishing factor is that they should not fall under any commercial exploitation. That's one. Number two, if you are commissioned to do something, that means somebody is paying you to do something, except you guys agreed in an agreement that as I'm paying you, even though I'm paying you to do this thing, the copyright or the rights in this thing still belongs to you. There's a very high chance that you have been paid for your work and you treat it as a work for hire. What work for hire means is that as soon as I've paid you your money, you don't have any other rights to this creation. It's not my own. The copyright is not for me. Which is one of the dynamics people are trying to examine in that situation where a fashion designer created a design, somebody wore it, and they were asking, who is the owner of this design? Is it the fashion designer or the person who paid for it? So it's very important that you know where your rights are, who it belongs to, and if there's any agreement or any assignment of rights. So I will stop there for now.
That was very extensively discussed. I mean, it was an eye-opener. But let's talk about copyrights.
Okay.
There are platforms that, kind of censor this thing to some extent when it comes to the media.
Yes.
For instance, YouTube is very sensitive to copyrighted materials. It can go as far as either, shutting off a content that, has been formerly published by another person. But we've also seen on YouTube where people's work have either been pirated or they've been used without permission. Just weeks ago, we saw the Nollywood actress Bimbo Ademoye. Yes, for someone like that who is a producer, she's produced many movies, and we've never for once seen anything like that until when she burst out and she was giving a narration of the event. Someone had uploaded an entire movie she produced in his own, and you know what that means. He's going to be making the money, and it makes one imagine, like, did this person not do her due diligence? Was YouTube also not focusing on that copyright feature of them? What could have happened in that case? I mean, I'm sure she must have, crossed her T's and dotted her I's. What could have happened in such situation?
So unfortunately, piracy is an issue everywhere, not just in Nigeria, which is a very unfortunate phenomenon, because even before streaming platforms came into being, we heard of Alaba Market, where people will sell pirated CDs of people's songs. Those monies were not going to the artists or going to the film industry. If it was films, you go and rent film for 50 naira. You rent film for 20 naira. Way back then, you have these rental shops where they rent film, right? Most of these things were pirated, and now we now have streaming platforms where people get the job. You see, even streaming platforms itself, people have their own pirated streaming platform where you go and watch things for free. You're not paying any subscription fees. There are platforms like that. There are also platforms where you get to download pirated things. So this is not uncommon. It is a very sad reality, but it is not uncommon. That's the first thing I want to put out there. The second thing is that every platform has their rules. YouTube has, Instagram has rules. In fact, TikTok as well, they have their rules. You see sometimes some songs that you play and upload on your content on TikTok, after a few months, your song is not playing anymore.
Yeah.
It's not playing anymore because somebody has reported somewhere, and then they've taken and they tell you it's for copyright issues. So some of these platforms, some of them have monitoring mechanisms, some much more than others, right? Because everybody's trying to catch up with how piracy is. Yes. So some are faster, some are not. So for issues like the one you mentioned, the actor, Bimbo Ademoye, the thing is, most times, right, when you have a pirated film of yours being put in a platform, especially when you put yours, one of the things you have to do, I know there's a whole report mechanism on YouTube where you have to show that the film was first viewed and all of those things. And including that, there's a period of time where they'll have to review their request and then they take it down and all of those things, right? but it's stressful, which is why most actors are really paying, because it's stressful, and there is a very high chance that they would have already made money before you even discover. How many can you even discover? Some of the ones that she knows are the ones that maybe they blew up as well, and then she's seeing people talk about it.
We've been asked to wrap up now on the program. We just have 1 minute to sign off. I want you to quickly wrap it up for us, how one can immediately protect their property rights, their intellectual property. You know, I know you mentioned at some point, but maybe you can just wrap up with that as an immediate, yes, call to action.
Let me just give 2 quick calls to action. Number 1, get a seasoned lawyer who is known and has experience in this field to definitely give you right counsel, right? Number 2, the information is out there. Get informed about your rights, get informed about situations that are occurring, just get informed, right? So if you can do these 2 things, I'm sure you'll be on the right side.
Thank you for that summary. That was absolutely amazing. But this is how far we can bring you the conversation on protecting your intellectual property on the program today. But don't worry, you know, we can always bring back our guests on the program to take you further on the conversation. The program is You and the Law, where we discuss societal issues from the lenses of the Nigerian law, and I trust you all had an amazing time. My name is Miriam Usman. I'll see you next week, God's willing. Until then, be a law-abiding citizen. Do as much as you can to protect your intellectual property. That's coming from all of us right here. Bye for now.